Jazz Man by Karen Earhart. Pictures by R.G. Roth. Beat dilly doo ah. This jazz man, he plays one. He plays rhythm with his thumb. With a snap, snap, snazzy snap, give the man a hand. This jazz man scats with the band. Do-ah. This jazz man, he plays two. He makes music with his shoes. With a tap, tap, shuffle, slap, give the man a hand. This jazz man stomps with the band. Shuffle, step, shim, shim, hop, step, slide. Tick-a-tuck, 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 slap, pop, pop. This jazz man, he plays three. He plays congas tween his knees. With a bippity-pop, poppity-pop, give the man a hand. This jazz man pounds with the band. Bring it on home, now you're cooking. This jazz man, he plays four. He conducts them through the score. With a one and a two and a give the man a hand. This jazz man, he leads the band. Beep, bam, bam, bop, bop, beep, ba. This jazz man, he plays five. He plays bebop. He plays jive. With a beedle-dee-dee-bop, bop, 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 give the man a hand. This jazz man blows with the band. Bop, bop, beep-a-bop, bop. Chick-a-chee, chick-a-chee, bop, bop, bop. Chick-a-chee, chick-a-chee, ba-da-bop. This jazz man, he plays six. He plays solos with his sticks. With a bop, bop, ba-da-bop. Give the man a hand. This jazz man beats with the band. Doodly doot 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 doot. This jazz man, he plays seven. He plays notes that rise to heaven. With a toot toot doodly doot doot, give the man a hand. This jazz man wails with the band. Tink, 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 blink, blink. This jazz man, he plays eight. He plays keys, all 88. With a tink, blink, blinkety, tink, give the man a hand. This jazz man swings with the band. Thump, 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 thump. This jazz man, he plays nine. He plucks strings that sound divine. With a thump, 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 thump. Give the man a hand. This jazz man jams with the band. These jazz men, they play 10. We beg them to play again. With an encore, we want more. Give them all a hand. These jazz men make one great band. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. The end.
Do you have a nickname? John Burks Gillespie, nicknamed Dizzy because of how he acts during his performances. Gillespie, youngest of 9, started playing piano at age 9. His father was a local band leader, so instruments were readily available. When he was 10, his father passed. Dizzy decided it was time to teach himself to play the trumpet. A real cool cat. He hit high notes, low notes, and never heard of before notes. Dizzy created a whole new type of music called bebop. Similar to scat singing, this music was unpredictable, improvised, and with fast tempos. Blow that bent horn. Can you believe it? Somebody fell accidentally on Dizzy's trumpet as it was standing in its stand. As a result, the bell was bent. With a unique sound and unique look, this 45-degree bent horn helped to create his signature Cuban African jazz sound. Did you know? Jazz legend, famous for his music, recognizable for his cheeks. Gillespie's cheeks ballooned out as he played, later named Gillespie pouches. With repeated and heavy use, your cheek muscles can stretch into form to become gas-blowing pouches, enabling you to be a classic trumpeter. We celebrate. Dizzy Gillespie's positive, optimistic, upbeat attitude helped to influence generations of trumpeters all over the world. This African-American musician held strong through criticism, accusations that he had sold out. Dizzy persevered, inspired, and pushed great limits. And there's more. We celebrate African-American sister-songwriter, guitarist, recording artist, Sister Rosetta Tharpe. She became popular in the 1930s for her unique gospel recordings. Rosetta's cool, high-energy rhythm and blues sound became an influence to what we now call rock and roll. We celebrate Ella Fitzgerald, Lady Ella, Queen of Jazz, Black American singer whose voice spanned 3 octaves. From the streets of Harlem to her success as a jazz legend, this big band scat-singing artist achieved remarkable awards and acknowledgments throughout her lifetime. This first lady of song had a voice that was dazzling, wide-ranging, flexible, accurate, and ageless. We celebrate Louis Armstrong, jazz trumpeter, singer from New Orleans. His inventive trumpet and cornet playing claimed to fame about in the 1920s. Louis Armstrong's influential jazz sounds helped jazz music move from collective performances to solo performances. His unique, gravelly voice helped to characterize his beautiful melody.
Stompin' at the Savoy. How Chick Webb Became the King of Drums. A literally cultured read aloud. Written by Moira Rose Donahue and illustrated by Laura Freeman. To young William Henry Chick Webb, all the world was a drum. He tapped rhythms on iron railings, tinkety-tink. He slapped rhythms on marble steps, thwappity-thwap. He banged rhythms on garbage cans, boomity-boom. And years later, on May 11th, 1937, he hammered them on his sparkly drum set at Harlem Savoy Ballroom in the biggest band battle of the century. William was born sometime in the early 1900s in East Baltimore, Maryland. He had challenges from the time he was very young. William had an illness that affected his spine, and one day he had a bad accident. He spied his grandmother coming down the street. He raced down the stairs to see her and lost his footing. Whomp! He fell hard. William needed an operation. Afterward, The family doctor told his mother to get a drum set to strengthen William's arms. But his mother couldn't afford drums. She couldn't even afford drumsticks. So William made his own drumsticks. He pounded sounds on pots and pans, on floorboards and washboards. Clangety clang, scritchety scratch. William grew up with a hunched back. Kids called him Chicken because of the way he walked. Before long, his nickname became Chick. He used it all his life. Chick was 9 or 10 when he started selling newspapers. Before long, he was able to buy real drumsticks. If paper sales were slow, Chick beat out his music on whatever was nearby. He twirled his drumsticks and flipped them in the air. People stopped to watch. Sometimes they tossed him spare change. Chick saved his money and bought a drum set. Now Chick could bang on the bass drum, crash the cymbals, and rattle the snare. Digga, 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 digga. Chick stopped growing at 4 feet 1 inch, about the height of an 8-year-old boy. But being small didn't stop him from making a giant sound. He just needed a taller chair and a higher bass pedal to do it. Jazz music started in New Orleans, Louisiana. Soon, jazz bands were jamming all over the country. Chick was still a teenager when he was hired to play drums in a few bands. That's how he met the famous band leader, Duke Ellington. Duke saw how good Chick was and told him to start his own band, but Chick wasn't ready. Then, in the late 1920s, musicians started playing a new kind of jazz music, a hotter music with a strong beat that made people want to dance. This new music was called swing. Chick had never had music lessons and he couldn't read music. But he memorized quickly and he practiced a lot, and his heart beat in swing time. This new music was just right for Chick. He decided to follow Duke's advice and form his own swing band. But Chick was a picky bird. He wanted only the best musicians for his band. Once he found them, he and his band were touring the country. That's how Chick happened to hear about a girl with a satiny, smooth voice. Her name was Ella Fitzgerald. The moment Chick heard Ella, he hired her as the band's lead singer. Being small didn't change the size of Chick's dreams. "I got to get to the top," he said. And in 1937, he was almost there. He and his band played at the glamorous Savoy Ballroom on most nights. Some called him the Savoy King. Black musicians, like Chick and his band, were allowed to play at white clubs. But black people weren't allowed to dance at white clubs. The Savoy was different. Everyone was welcome there. Black and white people who loved music tapped their toes together. Working class people and movie stars danced alongside one another. People jumped and jived to new dances all night long. At the Savoy, the swinging never stopped. In those days, live band competitions were the trend. Chick loved band battles, probably because he almost always won. But in February 1937, the Little King lost to Duke Ellington. Chick slipped off the bandstand. "I can't take it," he said. "This is the first time we've ever really been washed out." But Chick didn't let that stop him. Benny Goodman's band was the biggest of the big bands, #1 in the country. At over 6 feet tall, Benny was known as the King of Swing. 4 foot 1 inch tall Chick challenged him to a battle of the bands. Benny had some rules for the contest. The bands would play the same songs. Benny's band would play first, and on the bigger of the 2 bandstands at the Savoy. Chick didn't mind. He knew his band could play on any bandstand, but could his band beat Benny's? That night, 4,000 people crowded together on the dance floor. Reporters from music magazines were there too. The air shimmered and sizzled with electricity. And outside the Savoy, on Lenox Avenue, another 5,000 people jammed together, waiting to hear who won. Backstage, Chick called his band together. They towered over him, but he looked each band member in the eye. "I don't want nobody to miss." Benny's musicians took their places. They wore dark tuxedos. The crowd pressed close to Benny's bandstand. Benny raised his instrument to his mouth. His clarinet crooned sweetly. The crowd swayed. Then Chick's band, in white tuxedos, took a turn. Chick sat behind his sparkly drum set and held his drumsticks over the snare drum, which was decorated with chicks. He pounded his sticks. It was the same song, but hotter and faster, swingier. The audience bounced with the beat. Back and forth the bands played, songs like "Don't Be That Way" and "Stompin' at the Savoy." Gene Krupa was Benny's star drummer. That night, he played his drums so hard, he broke a drum head. Finally, Chick's band played Jam Session. Chick pounded louder and faster than a speeding train. His hands were a blur. Diggity, 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 dig. Benny's band just shook their heads in disbelief. Gene stood up and bowed his head to Chick. "Chick Webb had cut me to ribbons," he said later. Everyone there knew that Chick had won. Even the 2 rival music magazines gave the win to Chick, and they gave Chick a new nickname. From that night on, he would be known as the King of Drums.
Down in the alley when the moon's up high, a crazy cool cat comes strutting by. People come out to hear him sing a song, but not everybody is cool when the cat comes along. Like Mr. Dan, he's the bakery man. He wakes up at 4 to open up his store. So when the cat's near, Mr. Dan will yell loud and clear, "Scat, cat!" But then the cat goes, "Meow, squeal, ya do, By all accounts, he's a popular fella. He's good friends with big cats like Louis and Ella. People line up to hear him do his thing, but not everybody is cool when the cat starts to sing. Oh no. Like Mrs. Brady, she's the newspaper lady. She wakes up at 5 for her paper route drive. So when the cat's there, Mrs. Brady will madly declare, "Scat, cat!" But Mrs. Brady and Mr. Dan called up the man whose name was Sergeant O'Malley. They said, we need to sleep, so you need to keep the peace down here in this alley. Sergeant O'Malley was waiting late that night, ready to arrest that cat on sight. Along came the cat, and that was that. When they looked down and saw the sergeant was grooving, Mrs. Brady and Dan knew they'd have to be moving. There's no morning paper or donuts to eat, but everybody's dancing in the streets.